So on today's show, we will be reviewing the animated adaptation of Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. So, parts 1 and 2 of The Dark Knight Returns are finally out, the animated versions. Apologies for the previous time we talked about this. I said that it wasn't coming out until November.
I didn't think it was.
I didn't think it was, and then I read somewhere it was, and I was very wrong. So, apologies for that first off. And for those who don't know, and I would be very surprised if they didn't, The Dark Knight Returns is based on the 1986 graphic novel by Frank Miller, in which Bruce Wayne has aged to 60, Gotham City is worse off than it ever has been, and he decides Batman needs to come back to save the day. That's a very basic introduction to the story, and it has finally been animated. And we're going to talk about parts 1 and 2. So, what did you think of it?
We watched part 1 months ago, right? When we
both,
both
it was November-ish time.
Yeah, and we both raved about it to each other, not to you. And to the extent that it was battling for a place on my top 5 films list. Like, it was that good. And to be honest, a lot of these DC animations have been great, but this was a step above the rest, probably because the source material was that good. I mean, this is the best Batman comic ever written, probably.
Probably.
I didn't enjoy the second part 2 as much as I did part 1.
Okay.
But it's been a while since I've read the comic, and I feel like that is only because part 2 isn't as strong as part 1.
I was just about to say, I also didn't enjoy part 2 quite as much as I enjoyed part 1, but I don't blame it on the animated version at all. I blame it on the comic book, because I personally believe towards the end of this story, it kind of falls apart.
The thing is, the end of this comic book is all about ideas. It's all about really grand concepts and really, really cool things, and they all center around this famous battle between Batman and Superman. Whereas part 1 seems to be all plot, and I think that's why the first one was better, because it's racing, it's always moving, you're excited. Whereas, the other thing is, the whole payoff of part 2 is part 1. So it's kind of weird that they split this story and you watch them that far apart anyway. So I think that maybe if you watch them together, you get... Having said all of that, like, this thing that they did to animate this comic is just a triumph.
Yeah,
like,
it really is.
You basically using the comic as storyboards, which I'm sure they put... Like, it is so close to the original.
And just having a flick through before we... started filming, there's one scene where the Joker's on a talk show, and the way in which he takes control of the situation, I think was improved in the animated version as opposed to the comic book version.
A lot of the stuff that they change, they do for good reason, and they do it well. Like, most of this book takes place in a monologue. We can't have that in the animated version, so they morph it into dialogue, they change it in different ways.
They do a really good job of it.
They do a seamless job of it. It never feels jarring or anything like that. So yeah, I think watch them together.
Yes, definitely.
Also read the comic.
That's a must. I mean, you've got to read Dark Knight Returns.
But, I mean, in general, this is just like... I can't believe that this is the level of animation that we get. I tell you my one complaint. My one complaint is, in the comic where you get Batman taking on large numbers of enemies with guns, it makes sense because you don't see the transitions.
You
don't see him going from A to B. Like, he's just bam, 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 bam. And it's so skillful, and you can fill it in your mind. When you see him in the film do it, and just be shot at point. There's only so many times.
He's a fan of the drop roll.
There's only so many times you can see someone just being shot at point blank range and think, all right, it's a little silly now. And that doesn't happen in the comic because of the nature of the difference of the media. I don't know what the solution is.
I think, to be honest, like when it came down to the Superman-Batman battle at the end of the film, I think they did a fantastic choreography job in the animated version, and it had me the entire time like at the edge of my seat going, come on, Batman, come on, you can do it. It was, which is ridiculous because I know the story and yet it still got me that invested. And I mean, also the voice acting really needs to be praised here because I thought everyone did a fantastic job. I know that April Winters from Modern Family plays Carrie Kelly? The Robin. And I think it's Peter Sellers, the actor who originally portrayed RoboCop, does the voice of Batman. And he just does such a wonderful job in that role. Like, it's not Kevin Conroy, but it is also one of the better Batman interpretations we've seen in animated form.
Yeah, it really is. And the other thing I want to say as well is, if you look at the quality of this, the quality of some of the stuff that's come before it from DC, and you compare it to the Marvel stuff, I don't understand how the Marvel stuff is so bad. I think maybe it might have something to do with the tone. With the animated stuff in DC, it's usually darker, it's in the shadow. I don't know if that's got something to do with it, because the animated films for DC are almost Marvel's live-action films. Like, them roles seem to be completely switched.
If you take the Dark Knight out of the equation, the Dark Knight trilogy, not this, out of the equation, DC's films are nowhere near as good as Marvel's films. But yeah, when it comes to the animated, it is a complete switch around. And part of me is wondering, is that because they're kind of holding on to all their comic book storylines for films? Like, are they holding on to Civil War because they want to do it in film form? Are they holding on to the Dark Phoenix because they want it in that? And whereas the animated versions, they're quite happy to go, Dark Knight Returns, take it. Batman Year One, take it.
Well, partly that, I think, but also, I don't think they've ever got the animation right for Marvel.
Yeah, the style has never been...
It's always really... it feels kind of dated, and there's a square-jawed and awkward and not cool.
Well,
not in any sense of the way cool.
The trailer that I saw for the Hulk Iron Man cartoon that's coming out late this year looks absolutely atrocious. Like,
I mean, that's one of the things that we haven't touched upon, is just the fucking stylishness of this animation.
It's the same style as in the comic book, but clean. Like, it's all been cleaned up. It's not that sketchy style. It's much, and the color palette's a lot simpler and less dull than in the...
What was it Gotham Knights? The
Gotham Knights
Batman animated one, which I love. If you haven't seen that, you should watch that as well. And that is a masterclass in animation. It's 4 different types of animation, all 4 of which destroy anything that Marvel has to offer.
Yeah,
they don't even come close. I mean, I've tried to get into things like the Avengers cartoon, Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yeah. And Ultimate Spider-Man I was into for a while.
I actually didn't mind the animation of Ultimate Spider-Man until you get like the Thor and the Captain. For some reason, they're all these buffoonly blocky people just waddle up, and it's awkward, and I don't like it, and I want it to go away. And I need the people who did Legends of the Dark Knight to do me Avengers or something, because the script's on the problem.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think they have had good stories, and especially in Earth's Mightiest Heroes, I think there are good stories there. Yeah. But the animation is so bad, the way it's done is so bad, it feels so second-rate, whereas this feels like class. This feels like sheer class. And that does go for a lot of those animated films as well. Yeah,
I mean, the only thing that I'm worried about is the next animated is Superman Brainiac. And the Superman ones are the weak links in the DC animations, I personally feel. Like, I wasn't too fussed on All-Star Superman. I don't think you watched that because you want to read it first. And Superman Doomsday was beyond bad, but that was before they really got into their rhythm. So fingers crossed this one will be good. I'm sure it will be, and The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2 are both fantastic as a complete piece.
They're great. Watch them. So that's all from us this week.
Yes, it is.
It's another week of the show. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. We are at Comic Book Show 1. We're very, very funny.
True that.
And yeah, stick around. We'll see you next week. It's awkward and I don't like it and I want it to go away.